Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us at this live session from MAHSA University, Saujana Putra Campus. My name is Murni Amira binti Muhammad Aminuddin. I am lecturer at the Faculty of Health Sciences, MAHSA University, and for today's session, I'm going to become the moderator. Today's webinar is quite interesting, in which it's on environmental justice, and this webinar is proudly organized by Faculty of Health Sciences, MAHSA University. Dear viewer, before we proceed further, uh, I would like to give you a brief overview of the program offered by Faculty of Health Sciences at MAHSA University. So, Faculty of Health Sciences of MAHSA University consists of School of Physiotherapy, Department of Environmental Health, and also Department of Medical Imaging. Under these three departments, we have various programs being offered, such as under School of Physiotherapy, we have Diploma in Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy in Open and Distance Learning, and also Master of Physiotherapy. Under Department of Environmental Health, we have Diploma in Environmental Health, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, Open and Distance Learning, and also Diploma in Occupational Safety and Health. While for the Department of Medical Imaging, we offering Diploma in Medical Imaging Radiography, a Bachelor of Medical Imaging, and Bachelor of Medical Imaging Open and Distance Learning. So why join health sciences? Basically, everyone know that health sciences is part of essential services, and right now there is high job demand for people in the field of health sciences. And because we providing services to the public, we have low risk of job redundancy, which means that no boring work routine. And the good news is that it's not easy to replace people from health science background, meaning that you cannot be automated, you cannot be replaced by machine. Due to that, you have also opportunity to work in various settings. You can go to government sector and you can go for private sector as well. And of course, you have lucrative remuneration under the health sciences, and it's basically a career you can feel good about because it involves helping the others. So just a little bit on the entry requirement for each of the program. For Master of Physiotherapy, which is 1 year program in full-time mode and 2 year program for part-time mode, here's are the entry requirement for Master of Physiotherapy. And for all bachelor's program under Faculty of Health Sciences, we offering Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy Open and Distance Learning, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety Open and Distance Learning, Bachelor of Medical Imaging, and Bachelor of Medical Imaging Open and Distance Learning. All programs are 4 years program. And here's are the entry requirement. The good news is that for those who enter from diploma, you are eligible for credit transfer, which you can apply when you're entering the program, and however, it's subjected to approval from the university. And Faculty of Health Sciences offering Diploma in Physiotherapy, Diploma in Environmental Health, and Diploma in Medical Imaging. And all three are 3 years program, and here's other entry requirement. And lastly, Diploma in Occupational Safety and Health, which is also a 3 years program. And this is the entry requirement for Diploma in Occupational Safety and Health. So of course, MAHSA University, basically an infinite excellence is what MAHSA aspires to provide to each of our graduates. So why choose Faculty of Health Sciences, MAHSA University? Here, we have experienced and dedicated international pool of academic staff. We teach students with the interactive teaching, and we always emphasize on hands-on clinical or practical skill, whether we conduct it face-to-face mode or using the online platform, which is we using LMS. We have wide list of hospital and institution for clinical and also industrial placement for the students. And when you're registering for the program, you can choose whether to have your program in conventional mode or open and distant learning. We have cross-teaching by expert, in which MAHSA has the most number of health discipline in a single institution among IPTS, and the most important thing is that all programs under Faculty of Health Sciences are accredited by NQA and JPA. And some of it, for example, physiotherapy, have international recognition, which is the dual award with ARU. To assist students in financing their study, MAHSA also offer various scholarships. For example, Haji Abdullah Academic Excellence Scholarship, Foundation Scholarship, Blue Ribbon Scholarship, School Teacher Scholarship, Family Scholarship, and also the Single Parent Scholarship. And of course, we also have various collaboration with outside partners and also affiliation. For example, with the World Confederation of Physical Therapy, Chiang Mai University in Thailand, International Federation of Environmental Health, Malaysian Society of Radiographers, and also others. And those who joining MAHSA University, of course, you can always involve in student mobility program, which is like a student exchange program. Previously, we have mobility program with Irio Sose University, Lovely Professional University in India, and also Universitas Sriwijaya Palembang, Indonesia. So why wait? We always welcome you to join us at any time. So in case you have any inquiry, please contact us through MAHSA website or through our faculty Facebook page to know more about our programs, or you can simply leave us a comment. We will get back to you. Your question concerning this webinar session can be listed in the chat box. And before we start our webinar, let me tell you just a little bit on today's topic. We're going to talk about environmental justice. So basically, when you talk about environmental justice, actually we talk about the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all peoples, regardless of their color, their races, national origin, their income status, in regard to development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental law, regulation, and policies. Environmental justice always have a goal in which we want everyone to enjoy the same degree of protection from environmental and health hazard and equal access to the decision-making process to have a healthy environment which people can live, learn, and also work. So this webinar introduced the issue of environmental injustice and the principles integrated in the environmental justice itself. Here with us, we have our lovely moderator, Ms. Nur Safarina. Ms. Nur Safarina holds a master's degree in public and environmental health sciences and also bachelor's degree in environmental healthcare. She's currently working as a lecturer and also a faculty member in the Department of Environmental Health Faculty of Health Sciences. Without any delay, let's welcome Ms. Nur Safarina to deliver on the webinar today.
Thank you, moderator Ms. Murni Amira. My name is Nur Salfarina Abdul Samad. I am from the Faculty of Health Sciences, Department of Environmental Health, MAHSA University. So today I would like to share with you a sharing session in this webinar on topic of environmental justice. As per shared by Ms. Amira before, so what is actually environmental justice? According to Environmental Protection Agency 2017, it is on the fair treatment, meaningful involvement of all people regardless of their background and in the respect of the development, implementation, enforcement of law regulation and policies. And this is as per our moderator have informed before. In brief, we can say that it is to refer to the belief principles that everyone, all the citizens, regardless of their backgrounds, for example, like ethnicity, their incomes, should have equal share in the benefits of environmental amenities and also the burdens of environmental health hazards. Take into account, okay, like for example, a setting of industrial parks, for example. So we know that industrial parks, when the project is being developed, they have pro and cons in the development and in the operation afterwards. In one side, you can see that there are economical growth, job opportunities. So basically, that is the good things about this project industrial. But at the same moment, we have to look at the impact because in general, we can think or look at the past practice and also incident. Always some degree of pollutions happen, and afterwards. Impacts to humans, and that is also what we have to look at. That is the burden and negative, and it is true because of the industrial. So the setting of the industrial parks, where this, okay, would they have benefit and would their communities around have to bear the burden only because of that? So environmental justice, one of that aspect will look into that. So environmental justice is an important part of the struggle to improve, maintain a clean and helpful environment, and especially to the people who all this time traditionally live, work, play closest to the sources of pollution. So what are the sources of pollution? So in actual, there are so many different kind of sources of pollution. So for this webinar today, we are concentrating more on this outdoor air pollutions, and it can cause effect to urban and rural areas. So we might be shocked about it. In actual rural areas also may cause or sources of the pollutions. In the first place, I think the big chunk of it would be from industry and energy supply. So a lot of chemicals, gases coming out from the fume chambers from all the industries. So they contain a lot of chemical, hazardous chemical, for example, like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, a lot of other chemicals that is polluting and impactful negatively to the environment, also to the human health. And besides that, on the transportation, okay, if you look at the situation in Malaysia, I think we have quite extensive network of transport. We can go anywhere in Malaysia, and with any different kind of transportation. But most of, not all of this transport are using fuels, and they produce a lot of pollutant, and that is a big chunk of the sources of air pollution, outdoor air pollution to the environment. And besides that, also waste management, be it a landfill, be it incinerator, they also are polluting the sources of the air pollution. And last one, maybe we look at the agriculture practice. This is mostly concentrated in rural areas, given that they need a lot of space to do it. So agriculture practice, if you're looking at the traditional practice, slash and burn, it is one big of the sources of air pollutions. And if you're looking nowadays, the trend of the modern and also technology, L4.0 and everything, so a lot of technology, vehicles, machinery invented to help in the process of agriculture practice. And a lot of these vehicles still using fuels which are pollutants. A lot of them are producing a lot of chemical and pollutions into the environment. Okay. So now we are more focused on, I would like to focus on landfills. So landfill sites contain a lot of decaying organic waste, and where it comes from, basically from us, from our kitchen, from our farm, from our gardens, commercial like kitchens, all the markets, all the restaurants, all that produce organic waste. And all this is being sent to the landfills. The landfill will produce and up a lot of chemicals like phenol, solvents, benzene, dioxin, ammonia, heavy metal, other chemicals. All this sit in the landfill waiting for the if the landfill is good, sanitary landfill, for example, able to contain it, migrating all the pollutant away from the groundwater, for example, or if not, then it might potentially polluting our groundwater and soil subsequently. And besides that, the gases produced from the landfill activities, most prominently are carbon dioxide and also methane. Both are actually greenhouses gases, and they are tremendously impactful in that sense of global warming, for example. Yeah? And the devastating impacts from the landfill, the threat posed by the landfill, in essence, we can brief it into three parts. The first one would be from the methane emissions. This is coming from the landfill, naturally we produce from the activities, degradation of waste inside the landfills. So the methane itself is a greenhouse gases. So on itself is actually a hazard, a threat. And besides that, it will also can initiate or cause uncontrollable fires, which also happen in many landfill which is not managed properly. And at last of the health impacts to the people, mostly people who are living nearby the landfill, cardiovascular, lung diseases coming from the gases, chemical, debris flew from all this landfill to this community around the landfills. Okay, so why do I put this as a forefront of the issues in this webinar? Because I think that landfill is an issues that are faced by everyone around the world. And landfills, I say that is a necessity. We up to this age, I think we cannot simply eliminate the needs of the landfill, even though we have other kind of management, solid waste management, for example, through 3R, like reduce, reuse, recycle. We know it all this time. We know it since schools. And the implementation has been done quite better to at certain countries might implementing this to the fullest. Maybe some country not to up to that far, but this is already being practiced and well known. But even by then, still there are waste that cannot be further treated and need to have landfill to be a final disposal for all these waste. And also incinerator, for example, also a solution for waste management. But I think it won't be a final solution because of the residue coming from the incinerator, such as sludge or the ashes, that normal treatment or any other method can deal with it. And where it goes afterwards, landfill. So the landfill is a must needed by everyone across the countries. So, however, we know already, we already go through what are the landfills, the gases that they produce, the chemical and the threats that on the screen right now. So who would like this to be in our environment? Okay, so no one would like to live behind or in front of the landfill or in any vicinity of landfills. So people are having all the knowledge and would not like this to be in our environment. But however, this is a must. So the seating of the landfill is an issue because it's not able to be eliminated and it must be done. Okay, who have to bear with this burden of having landfill in their environment? And that is what we have to look at. Most of the environmental justice is play around this. Yeah. Okay, like for example, maybe if you look at the history a little bit, this Warren County in North Carolina in 1982 is not the first ever cases. But however, because of the coverage, a lot of people paying so much attention to the cases, and also because of this, it can be said that the first ever and the eye opener of everyone about the injustice on the burden from the environmental hazards faced by only certain person or certain individual or group of people. So what happened in 1982? The state government at that time decided to dump 6,000 truckloads of soil laced with toxic polychlorinated biphenyl PCBs. And this is basically only at this place in the Warren County, and the most affected during that time is a small community of Afton, and they are mostly African American and from the middle lower income. So the residents they are protesting on this action and decision of the government. So they do a protest. They're lying down on the roads leading to the landfill, and followed by that marches, non-violent street protests to protest this decision by the government. And consequence from that, more than 500 people were arrested because of this protest. And in the US history, this is the first ever arrest that is conducted because of the sitting of the landfill. And even afterward, back and forth process and everything, the toxic waste still eventually deposited in that landfill in this region. And it might not be a successful story on the environmental justice movement, but this is what, as an introduction to everyone, that it happens. And they drew a national media attention, and subsequently all people all around the world know about it, and they already get into their mind that this happened, injustice happened to everyone in other countries too. They also face the same situations. So the street protest, legal challenge by these people in the Warren County, we can make it into first major milestone in the national movement for the environmental justice. And actually, way before that, in 1960s, this is in the California, San Joaquin Valley. Okay, so Grab workers in this area went on strike to demand higher wages and also better work conditions, including the protection for harmful pesticide that they use while they are working. So the key person during this time, Larry Itliong, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, they are having their own committee during this time to do or demands with all these of necessities for them and their family. And afterwards, subsequently, years after, they are progressing. They are combining their effort, and they're making this community of United Farm Workers Organizing Committee, or we call as United Farm Workers, combining together. And for information, they are all from various backgrounds. Like for example, Larry Itliong is from the descendant of Philippines, and they are all colored people, right? So there are marches in 1966 to draw the attention to the strike, to this strike. So subsequently, because of this strike, there are negotiation happen between the owners and also the union, but not as much. Many major owners of the farm didn't deal or make any negotiation with the union. So afterwards, the United Farm Workers organized a bigger, a national level boycott of grapes to put much pressure on these owners of the growers. So afterwards, the public outcries, and because of this issue, it's been so much talk about all around. The consumers also involved in this protest. They refused to buy the grapes from this area, and subsequently afterward is the grocery stores. They're also involved. They also boycott all the grapes from this place. And grape sales in the US afterward, in particular from this area, has been dropped significantly. So this forcing all these owners of the grape growers basically to to make a negotiation to make a deal with the United Farm Workers, and it's been said that afterwards there are deals that has been reached out, what we call as an agreement has been reached between the union and also the grape owners, basically in favor to the union and the workers. And also afterward, the union basically is a body that formally can fight for this right for their workers, basically. And maybe lastly, we look at one more case happened in West Harlem, New York, in 1968. So this happened in basically a sewage treatment plant has been initially planned to be constructed in an area, in particular in 72nd Street along the Hudson River. And this is predominantly white and upper middle class neighborhood. However, because of the protests, some technical issues, it caused the plan to be shuffled or changed into another location, and ultimately happened in the West Harlem, New York City. And in this what you call the region, basically when the construction and decision happened, the community is not really approached or like having some kind of decision power in the negotiation and the meeting and so on. And the project has been proceed, and afterwards the members of the community complain about the orders. Basically, because of this treatment plant, they produce some kind of a rotten egg smells, and it is so overbearing for the community. And not that only, not just the odor, but also some kind of symptoms like itchy eyes, shortness of breath, and other symptoms relate to asthma, respiratory ailments. And afterwards, this management of the treatment plant do the investigations, and they find out that there are some kind of technical issues on the plant that caused this to be happen. So there are some what I call fund has been focused on to remedy the situation. We can say that the issues on the smell are more or less are being solved, and there also a monitoring system on the hydrogen sulfide level put in that place, and this hydrogen sulfide is mostly the one that culprit of this rotten the overbearing odors, and also a hotline put into place by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection to handle all the complaints in regards of this smell from the treatment plant. Okay, so in essence, we can say that there are three types of environmental justice. The first one is distributional justice. So this is on the spatial fairness of the physical distribution of environmental benefits and the burden. For example, like seating of landfills or seating of the polluting industries. So where it been located, where it's been constructed, okay, the planning of this landfill and polluting industries, we have to look at the community around. Is there any difference, disparity, imbalance between background of the people? For example, would only minority or maybe only some group of people of lower income only have to deal with the landfill or polluting industry? Okay? And other example like recreational spaces, for example, would there be any access? Even if the recreational space is there, would be there accessible to the people, right? So would be this space, recreational space, been made available to everyone, to any kind of neighborhood, be it a minority, be it some kind of a high-rise apartment or something, or even in the place where mostly are lower income. So that is on the first one. The second one is on the procedural justice, looking at the providing equal protection from environmental hazards regarding rulemaking and enforcement. So enforcement, for example, Enforcement come after we have the act legislation. Enforcement only come afterwards, but it's not something that is menial or something that is minimal things. Enforcement is also very very important. If we have law, if we have legislation or act, but if there is no enforcement, then there's no means of having that in the first place. So in the enforcement of environmental quality control, for example, we have to look at the fairness in this enactment or putting people responsible for their actions. Like if, for example, a certain group, a big industry maybe, right, making a pollution or pollute the environment, dump some kind of waste into the water, for example, they have to pay for it. They have to be responsible for the action, not to only target smaller companies. Yeah, so that is what we call as procedural justice, to look at everyone responsible as much as possible, and to relate back to the act, provision of the act, how much is your penalties should be given. So we have to look on that, the procedural justice. And the last one on the process justice, providing opportunities for meaningful citizens' involvement in decision that affects the environmental health, include the access to information, adequate authority for local knowledge. And this is, for example, like access to information on exposure to toxicant, for example. If the community is like exposed, or maybe like some kind of landfill, maybe, right, plan to be constructed in an area. So in the decision making, in the committee should be built up, initiate that involve the stakeholders, like who are the government, who are responsible, maybe the industry itself, and the most important, I would say, is the community itself. They should be in that community, and the community should be informed. This is very important, transparency of the information, how bad it is going to be in the future, 10, 20 years afterward. It's not to be on you, but on your children. That information should be provided to all these public, to the community that involved. That is the first and very important, I would say, on this process justice. So that afterwards, these people, the community, should have their own mind, they have their own power to voice out whether they are to protest, or maybe at least like suggesting and demand things like, for example, mitigation, control, to protect themselves. And that is very important in the process justice. Okay, so lastly, we come to this some of the environmental issue. I would like to highlight two incidents, two cases. Both are in the Southeast Asia. The first one is on the we call as a regional seasonal haze, regional haze in Southeast Asia. So what is haze? Haze is basically caused by particulate matter from many sources, include like smoke, the road dust, particulate emitted directly into atmosphere, as well as the one that being formed while in the atmosphere because of the reaction of the gases. And the particle usually growing in size as the humidity also increase, and this cause impact visibility. So haze pollution can be transboundary, means that it can move to other places if its density extent is so great at sources, and when it goes away, remain at measurable level even after they're crossing other country airspace. And that is what is the problem here. It consists of sufficient smoke, the dust, moisture, vapor suspended in the dry air, impact the visibility and impact our respiratory health. And the type of air pollution composed of very, very fine particles, particulate matter like PM10 and PM2.5. So these invisible killers cause a lot of problems. Like for example, majority, 43% of death can be caused because of the air pollution is of the lung diseases origin. Yeah. And the major pollutants, for example, from agriculture or haze, coming from the activities of open burning, and the emitted pollutants includes like suspended particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and water organic compounds. And in Southeast Asia, okay, the haze mostly largely caused by illegal agriculture fires due to industrial scale slash and burn practice, mostly in Indonesia. And this practice is preferred because of the cheaper and also faster compared to another method like cutting, clearing using excavator or any other kind of machines. And besides that, not to say only that, there are also other factors such as extreme drought, dry season, low rainfall, El Nino, and Southeast Asia. This bring drier weather to our region, increase the risk of the forest fire and smoke haze, and a lot of hotspots detected in our area. And besides that, is also on the lowering water table. For example, palm oil tree plantation, they take up a lot of water, and this causes water table to decrease and make the soil drier, significantly cause the haze. So what are the impact of haze? The first one is on the fire damage. It causes loss of life, flora and fauna, wildlife, humans, indirect forest benefit, timber, agriculture, product, biodiversity. So a lot are being impacted because of the fire damage coming from the haze. And the fire also a significant fire affecting cause because of the extensive coverage area of that catching fires. And of course, because of the fire, the carbon being released into the atmosphere, a lot is being produced during that time. And the haze damage itself to the people health, short-term health, to the tourism, for example, and also to industrial production losses, airline, airport, and damage to the fisheries. People also have been suspended their activities. Cannot go to school, cannot go to work, so they have to basically limit their physical activity. So socio-economic activity are also disturbed. And lastly, severe haze weather can lead to long-term health damage, reduce crop productivity, reduce visibility, cause accident, loss of life, and make people have to evacuate their home, and loss of the confidence of the foreign investor in that region. These are some of the pictures viewed during the haze happened in our country. And what have been done. Okay, so both Malaysia and Indonesia, because they are highly impacted, start a daily cloud seeding, and also helicopters are deployed by authorities to dump dump water on fires. And of course, the Indonesian government, for example, already started a project for building retention basin to restore the moisture to the peatland. And lastly, I think this is very important, and what we have to look at Asian agreement on transboundary haze pollution. So this is an agreement signed by every countries that is impacted in Asian. Recognize that this transboundary haze pollution happened, and there are very much negative impact result from the land and or forest fire, and this must be dealt with, mitigated through everyone's effort, national effort, international cooperation. And lastly, we come to the last issues on the plastic waste in Southeast Asia. So what is the problem with the plastic waste? So plastic waste, and especially the marine plastic litter, is a very big problem for everyone in the global scale. There are in everywhere. We can find it in the coastline, floating on the water, and it is a very much problem because of the durability of the plastic, making them stay in the environment for a very long time. Of course, after that, the big problem also with the plastic is on the production, the mass production of the plastic. If looking at the percentage of the total waste generated, there are 10% of them are actually plastics. And if we're looking at the trash floating on the ocean surface, 90% are all plastics. So that is how much they are impacting our environment. And the secondly is the threat to aquatic life and also human. The larger piece of the plastic cause harm, kill the marine animals because they're entangled in the debris. Even the small that we call as microplastic can be found in the many of the aquatic life like finfish, shellfish, crustaceans, and we human eat all that. And but subsequently, there is in us the microplastic. We are directly impacted from our diets. The thirdly, on the persistent and the durability. So plastic lasts for a long time. So when we talk about full degradation, it means that the complete breakdown, decomposition of the substance into water, carbon dioxide, methane, other non-synthetic molecules. However, plastic mostly disintegrate by only breaking down into smaller parts, microplastic we call, under the influence of weathering, but the polymer of the plastic itself would not be fully degrade into natural chemical compounds or chemical elements under the marine conditions. And lastly, the additive added in the production of the plastic. So flame retardants, plasticizer mixed in the plastics to increase, to make them more flexible, transparent, durable, long lasting. And some of this substance mostly present in the plastic object that we found on floating on the oceans. And these are known also to be toxic to the marine life and also human. So this is the data that we have from these are the sources and these are the plastic waste produced and mismanaged. So the bigger the pie chart are, then much more waste, plastic waste is being produced by different countries. But the most important, I think, that the one that we have to look at is the mismanagement. The red color show the mismanagement of the plastic, how the plastic is being managed. Many of these mismanaged plastic actually enter our ocean. So many that floating around the coastline on the ocean is actually from the mismanaged plastic waste. Issues in Southeast Asia. So, coming from a long time, China is one country that before this import a lot of plastic waste. However, in 2017, 2018, they already banned this activity, import of the plastic waste, because of their initiative for cleaning up their environment. However, that caused impacts, huge impact to other countries surrounding. So Southeast Asia, for example, because of the China didn't accept anymore the plastic waste. If they do, they are under very a lot of restriction and so on. So a lot of these plastic waste cannot go anywhere else. So Southeast Asia, like Malaysia and Philippines, becoming a target for the landing of all these plastic waste, basically. So Philippines, for example, even from 2013, they are accepting, somehow they are accepting a lot of plastic waste, and all these plastic waste are wrongly labeled as recycled plastic when it is not actually. So a lot of effort back and forth process done with the original countries and so on. Until 2019, they are putting all stop all efforts and so on. The Philippines managed to send back this wrongly labeled recycled plastic back to the original country, which is to Canada at that time. And Malaysia also, we are not what you call accepted from this. The plastic waste that we receive actually increased after this 2018, 2017 action of China banning the plastic. We also heavily impacted. We receive a lot more plastic waste at this moment, and at that time, legally speaking, there are a lot coming from other countries, and we managed to send back many of these waste to the origin country like US, UK, France, and Canada in 2020. Okay, so what has been done to cater, to mitigate, and to control all this? So, BASA conference of the parties from 29 April to 10 May 2019. So, all the government that signed that agreement, they amend that in the BASA convention to include specifically on plastic waste. This is a lot of issue coming inside this, referring to Basel Convention is because plastic waste is not put there. So we put specifically on plastic waste in the Basel Convention to make it more legally binding framework, make the global trade in plastic waste more transparent, better regulated, so that all that importer, exporter have their own responsibility, so that there won't be mismanagement afterward if suddenly case like the countries are rejecting a certain imported plastic waste. So how to do about it? That is what is important in this particular amendment. At the same time, we also have new partnership on plastic waste established to mobilize every stakeholder, business, government, academic, civil society resources that have interest, expertise to assist in the implementing the new measures, or maybe like providing practical support, including tools, practice, technical, financial assistance to make that plastic waste what we call management to be sound and safe, basically. Yeah. Okay, so that's all from me on the environmental justice. Just a little bit on my view on this, and I would like to conclude this by borrowing words from Albert Einstein. In matters of truth and justice, there is no difference between large and small problem. For issues concerning the treatment of people are all the same, because we are all human, we are all people, we are all impacted by even small or large issues. So we have all to be responsible and don't put any kind of what we call issues maybe to put aside some groups and so on. So we all have to be treated the same. And by that, okay, thank you very much. I would like to get back to our moderator. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Non Safarina, for the insightful and very informative presentation. Dear viewer, if you have any question for Ms. Non Safarina, please leave us a comment. And basically, we are waiting for the question. Okay, the first question is from Nur Faiza Abdul Razak. She said, "Hi, Misal. I just wonder how we can make sure that we implement environmental justice in any development or decision made."
Okay, thank you, Miss Muri Amira. Okay, so environmental justice is being employed, being what you call practiced together. Should be in any kind of development or any decision we made in regards of that. So, for example, we have to uphold this equity, equality and autonomy. For example, like equity, there shouldn't be any favoritism to the certain groups. For example, if there are guilty do some pollution, for example, there should be equally fairly being what you call penalized for it. And autonomy, for example, the particular community that is heavily impacted should be involved in all the process. That, for example, if they have any issues, any concern, they should be able to put forth all this concern, and their voice should be take into consideration and put that in the planning. So that is, I think, what environmental justice should be in any kind of development or planning. Thank you, Miss Amira.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Salfarina. We have next question from Non Fadilah Derahim. She said, "How about deforestation and illegal logging? How do we manage this?" I think because this is a common issue in Malaysia as well.
Okay, thank you, Miss Amira. So, deforestation and illegal logging. So we, Malaysia, I think we are gifted. We have a lot of forests and all that precious flora and fauna found in that forest in our countries. So deforestation and illegal logging, we have act like, for example, National Forestry Act 1984, Environmental Quality Act 1974, and Protection of Wildlife Act. So all this act is already here in place, already enacted. The problem, I think, the most probably would be on the enforcement. So we have to look on the enforcement more on that, and also, of course, I think the manpower will be the big things here. So we have to put more efforts, put more concentration on helping or investing in the manpower to do the jobs, basically. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Miss Amira.
Okay. So thank you, Miss Nur Safarina. I'm waiting whether we're going to have another question coming up because we actually running out of time. So as we running out of time, we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you, Ms. Nur Safarina, for joining us today and providing such a very interesting topic for us. It's a very useful session as well. To our wonderful audience, thank you for joining us at this webinar. We look forward to your comment and participation in our future event, which hosted by MAHSA University. In case you have any further queries, you can contact us through MAHSA website or visit our social media. That's it, everyone. Have a nice day. Take care.